What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the TWIF series, where I take a unique analytical look at my fantasy football league and break down and predict the matchups. First, we will review last week's matchups, and then we'll go on to next week where I attempt to predict. Alright, so as my computer freaks out, we see that I defeated the Night Owl with a relatively high score, although she performed much better than expected. I think she will contend. I think her and Seagouch will be fighting for the third place spot. Then we see Weston put the hurt on Seagouch. Nothing too notable here except for Weston doesn't seem to really have any weak points. His highs aren't as high as my highs. The only reason I'm comparing us is because we're about to play and we're in the same division. But his team is more consistent on the whole. If you look, his lowest point score was his kicker with 7. So he's looking strong. Seagouch is looking really weak with a terrible running back core. We move on to the Cure Sucks and Clap for Bacon. Kevin unfortunately lost this one. Julio Jones went off for 22 for the Cure Sucks. That's the main reason why he won. Disco Hobbits and Fabiano's Brilliance. Between Spencer's 2 receivers and his flex, they combined for 13 points, and that ended up losing him the game against the reigning runner-up of the Super Bowl. This is your game of the week, Choking a Hogo and No Fried Rice. It's a great game. It was definitely as good as I predicted, which was about the only correct thing that I predicted the last video, that this game would be entertaining. No Fried was up about 30 points, and Cameron managed to come back with 2 players and barely beat him. Good job to Cameron. Like I said with Cameron, he's going to need to win these next 2 games, maybe even 3, because as injuries start to set in and bye weeks, they will hit his team particularly hard because he has probably the least depth in the league and very injury-prone old players. Notable things here, Fred Jackson got hurt for Cameron, so he's already getting hurt with the injury bug. And then we have a huge upset. The record-breaking suck takes down Ben as Andrew Luck and Trent Richardson combined for a measly 14 points and defecate all over Ben's weekly score total. So let's take a look at the week 2 matchups. Now, last week my picks were sloppier than Sean Avery. Hopefully this week they get better. And we're going to go right into it. Balls deep, baby. Game of the week. And we get the beautiful pictures, as always. And it's me versus Weston. Croon's Crew versus Get Your Popcorn Ready. We have Matt Ryan facing off against Eli Pussy Willow Manning. After Ryan's enormous 32-point performance, he looks to outscore Eli, and that's about it for that. Michael Turner and Jamal Charles. Charles has a better matchup, and Turner did shitty, so advantage Charles. Matt running is his forte, and Steven Jackson. Jackson will probably get Weston a touchdown, but with the way that offensive line is, even though Forte is getting his touchdown stolen occasionally by Michael Bush, he's still going to outscore Steven Jackson. Jeremy Maclin and Megatron. Stafford had a terrible week last week, and Johnson still managed to get some points, so you can't really stop Megatron. Advantage Megatron. Mike Wallace and Pierre Garcon. After seeing the performance of RG3 in his first game and how much he targeted Garcon, I really think Garcon's going to be a great pick for those who have him this year. Advantage Garcon. Antonio Gates versus Jimmy Graham, 2 top-tier guys. The Saints lost the first week. I don't think they're going to be able to come back from that loss. I think their offense is going to sputter out and not perform very well. So advantage Antonio Gates. Nate Kading and Justin Tucker. I think Weston's going to swap Tucker out. Advantage Kading. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense and the Texans defense. Well, the Steelers are playing the New York Jets, who are very turnover prone, so I'm going to give the advantage to them. It's going to be a close, high-scoring game. Oh, and I forgot the flex, sorry. MJD will outscore Law Firm because he's MJD and he's not going to be splitting time. So this is going to be a high-scoring game between the number 1 and 2 teams, and I'm going to take it over Weston. Sorry, Weston. Here we have a stinker, Sea Gouch and the Night Owl. I'm going to fly through this one. Drew Brees and Cam Newton. Drew gets the edge, even though I don't think their offense is going to do very well. After seeing what Carolina did, they just don't look like they're going to be very good this year. Marshawn Lynch and Sean Green. Sean Green is awful. Marshawn Lynch will get the advantage. Sean Green scored 10 points last week. That's the most he'll ever score again. There's not much to say to that other than the Bills' defense choked. Seagouch got really lucky with Marshawn Lynch. He's going to need to carry his team. Seagouch isn't starting a running back, and I think he's going to start one of the Redskins running backs, who will be outperformed by Doug Martin no matter who it is. Des Bryant will do better than Hakeem Nicks, although he wasn't targeted very much in the Wednesday night game. He will be targeted more in this upcoming game. Plus, Hakeem Nicks looks to have a decreasing role with the Giants. Larry Fitzgerald will outperform Greg Jennings. Fitz isn't great, but he's going to get you consistent points every week because the Packers' offense is kind of a crapshoot, and it's hard to predict who's going to catch what. With Fitz, he's their only good receiver, so you can almost guarantee that Fitz is going to get the points. As far as tight ends go, Vernon Davis has a clear-cut edge over Brent Selleck for obvious reasons. Deshaun Jackson and Brandon Marshall, after a great performance, Brandon Marshall looks to catch many more touchdowns. Advantage Marshall. Dan Bailey gets the edge over Garrett Hartley just because he's Dan Bailey, and I do think the Saints offense will struggle a bit against the Panthers. And the San Francisco 49ers defense will perform better than the Packers because the Niners get a lot of turnovers. I was trying to think of a stat, but it didn't come to me. So just trust me, the Niners get a lot of turnovers. Advantage Night Owl. Here we have Clap for Bacon and Fabiano's Brilliance. After both teams losing in Week 1 unexpectedly, they both look to bounce back. Although Clap 4's running back core looked extremely weak, and as I emphasized last week, he is in trouble as far as his quarterback tight end situation goes. He has way too much depth there, not enough depth at running back. He really needs to trade out. Stafford will do better than Romo because he's just a better fantasy quarterback. Adrian Peterson will do better than Chris Johnson, who had a very poor performance on Sunday. Beanie Wells, also a very poor performance, will be outscored by Darren Sproles. And see right away, Spencer has a tremendous advantage. He's up 3-1 on Clap 4. Reggie Wayne won't do anything. He's projected high points. That's because the ESPN kids are idiots. Although I don't think Colson will do particularly well, he will outscore Reggie Wayne. Andrew Luck looks to throw a lot to his tight end for some reason. I don't know, rookie quarterbacks like their tight end, so it's not a good year for Wayne owners. Victor Cruz and Vincent Jackson. Victor Cruz all the way. He's much better than Vincent Jackson, who, since being moved to Tampa Bay, not a very good fantasy player. Gronk will outscore Daniels because he's Gronk, and Hansen, top tier kicker, rarely going to be outscored, only by David Akers, and I assume Spencer will pick up a defense. I'm just not sure who. Big advantage to Spencer because of his top 3 there. Here we have Disco versus The Cure Sucks. RG3, I think he's going to have another good week, but not a great week. Advantage Rodgers. Willis McGahee didn't do particularly good in his last game, not going to do particularly good in this game. Although D'Angelo Williams is going to do worse, if you can imagine that. Advantage McGahee. Arian Foster is projected 35 points. Is the Jags defense that bad? Maybe, but it doesn't matter because the Cure Sucks has Frank Gore, who's actually not very good. Arian Foster gets the edge there. Roddy White and Julio Jones, both of the Falcons receivers. After Julio Jones' performance Sunday, I can only assume that they're going to work him in as much as they can, just like they did. Advantage Julio. Andre the Giant Johnson versus A.J. Green. Johnson's an incredible receiver. If he stays healthy, he's going to outscore anyone but Megatron every week. Advantage Johnson. Fred Davis is very good, and I think him and Garcon are going to be the main 2 targets. But Aaron Hernandez is also very good, and Davis didn't get that many targets last time RG3 played, so I'm going to give the advantage to Hernandez. Miles Austin and Alshon Jeffrey. The Bears seem like a ground and pound team more than a pass team, and I think Miles Austin is going to get more targets. Don't expect Ogletree to have another big week. Expect Austin and Dez to return to great form. Janikowski, he's going to definitely outperform Prater because, let me check and see. Yep, Oakland's playing Miami just like I thought. So that's definitely going to be a lot of points for Janikowski. And then, I'm not even going to try to guess defenses. I'm going to give the advantage to Disco here because of his advantage at that one running back slot, I think is going to be the difference. Fantasy Genius versus Choking a Hogo. This is going to be another very good game. They're projected to both score 103, but I just couldn't take the game away from the number 1 and 2 power rank team. Ben is looking to have another terrible week with Andrew Luck. He lost it for him last week, and it looks like it's going to happen again. Maybe. As far as quarterback goes. Ray Rice will be out. No, he will No, Darren McFadden will do better because the Raiders are playing the Dolphins. LeGarrette Blount shouldn't even be starting. Trent Richardson will do better than him, although I think 18 is a little overzealous. Denarius Thomas looks to be Cameron's carry as far as his team goes, but I don't think Steve Smith will be able to keep up with Demaryius Thomas just because the Panthers' offense looks so atrocious. Even though Smith did get some touches, if you have Panthers, man, drop them because they're not doing anything, or bench them. Dwayne Bowe had a bad week last week. I don't think this will continue. Plus, the Saints' offense, like the Packers, it's a crapshoot. You don't know who's going to get the ball. So I'm going to say Bowe catches a touchdown. Advantage Bowe. Dustin Keller is actually one of the worst fantasy tight ends there is. So Ben looks to have an edge here with Tony Gonzalez. Here are two flex running backs that I'm sure both owners adore right now. Because of Fred Jackson's injury, however, Cameron is going to be forced to move Ridley up to the running back 2 spot and flex a receiver. And knowing Cameron's bench, it's not going to be a very good receiver. So Bradshaw will almost definitely outperform whatever receiver Cameron decides to start, even though Bradshaw is competing with that rookie from Virginia Tech. Mason Crosby will outperform Nick Folk because I think the Jets are in for a rude awakening. They're not going to get to play the Bills every week. They actually have to play teams that are decent. So advantage Crosby. And then I think the Giants' defense will outperform the Jets because the Jets are probably going to get rocked this week. That's a really tough game to try to pick. On one hand, let me go back to it. On one hand, you have Ben, who has a very strong overall team with 2 incredible weak points. Andrew Luck's definitely a weak point. Trent Richardson is more of a question mark. But then you have Cameron's team, who is already falling apart because of injury, as I predicted last week. It's very tough, but after seeing Ben collapse in the first game, I think if Cameron, it depends on who Cameron flexes, but if he flexes someone smart and doesn't start Dustin Keller, then he will win. If he does something dumb like start LeGarrette Blount and Dustin Keller, then he will lose for sure. So that was my pick. Record-breaking suck and no fried rice for you. This is a decent matchup. Tom Brady will outperform Peyton Manning. I think Peyton Manning's still settling in. Tom Brady's very good, obviously. Dirty McCoy will bounce back from his subpar week and outperform Reggie Bush. DeMarco Murray will have a very good week and outperform Ryan Matthews. Brandon Lloyd will be outperformed by Jordy Nelson because Brandon Lloyd is bad. This is why you can't trust the predictions. You see this? 131 points. Murray's projected 30. Lloyd and Amendola are both projected 13. Neither of them are top-tier receivers, and Pettigrew's projected 12. All of these, okay, well, Randall Cobb will not, but Matthews, Jordy Nelson will outperform Lloyd, and Finley will outperform Pettigrew. I don't think Randall Cobb will outperform Amendola, but if I were to guess, they'll both get under 6 points. Michael Bush and Stevie Johnson. Michael Bush. Probably going to steal a touchdown, so I'm going to give it to Michael Bush. David Akers all powerful, that's all you need to know. And the Ravens defense will outperform the Bears defense. Well guys, that was the TWIF for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to rate the video, and peace out.